हेलो फ्रेंड्स, हम हमारे आज के सेशन में देखने वाले डायमेंशन रिडक्शन बात के बारे में। डायमेंशन रिडक्शन आखिर होता क्या है? पहले तो हम देखते हैं मशीन लर्निंग। मशीन लर्निंग हम देखते आ रहे हैं। मशीन लर्निंग मीन्स is nothing but a field of study which allows computers to learn like a human without need any explicit programming. मशीन लर्निंग मीन्स कि यहाँ पे लाइक ह्यूमन जैसा लर्न करने के लिए चीज़ों को हेल्प करता है। ये हमें यहाँ पे प्रोग्रामिंग की नीड नहीं पड़ती। Second one is what is predictive modeling. Predictive modeling is a probability process. It is a process that allows us to forecast outcome on the basis of some predictors. The predictors are basically features that come into play when deciding the final result, that is outcome of the model. Dimension reduction, it is a process of reducing number of features or dimension in the data set while retaining as much information as possible. That is, this can be done for a variety of reasons, such as a reduced complexity of model to improve performance of learning algorithms, and to make it easy to visualize the data. There are several techniques of dimension reduction, including principal component analysis, singular value decomposition, and linear discriminant analysis. Each technique uses different methods project the data onto a lower dimension. First, next one is what is dimension reduction? Dimension reduction is a technique which is used to reduce the number of features in dataset while retaining as much as important information is possible. अब डायमेंशन रिडक्शन में हम क्या करते हैं, हमारे पास जितने डेटा सेट में जितने भी फीचर्स अवेलेबल है उसमें फीचर्स रिड्यूस करते हैं या और इम्पोर्टेंट ऐसी इंफॉर्मेशन को हम रिमेनिंग रखते हैं. इट इज अ प्रोसेस ऑफ ट्रांसफरिंग हाई डायमेंशन डेटा इनटू लो डायमेंशन डेटा space that preserve a essence of organized original data. Dimension reduction, इसमें देखते हैं फीचर सिलेक्शन. फीचर सिलेक्शन in this method we try to find subset of original set variables or features. We get a similar subset which can be used for to model the perform. It usually involves three ways. First one is filter, wrapper, and embedded. Feature extraction means the reduce the data in high dimension space to the low dimension space, that is space with lesser or number of dimension. Method of dimensionality reduction. The various methods used for dimensionality reduction include PCA, LDA, GDA, principal component analysis, linear discriminant analysis, generalized discriminant analysis. Dimension reduction. Dimension reduction may be both linear and non-linear depending upon the method used. This primary linear method called principal component analysis or PCA is discussed below. Principal component analysis. This method was introduced by Carl Pearson. It works on the condition that while data is higher dimension space is mapped to data is lower dimension space, the variance of data is lower dimensional should be maximized. The method of dimension reduction. The method of dimension reduction include principal component analysis, linear discriminant analysis, generalized discriminant analysis. Dimension reduction may be both linear and non-linear depending upon the method we can use. The primary linear method called PCA, principal component analysis. In principal component analysis, this method was introduced by Carl Pearson. It works on the condition while the data is higher dimensional space is mapped into a lower dimension space, the variance of data is lower dimension space should be maximum. Advantages of dimension reduction. It helps us data comparison and hence reduce storage space. It reduce computation time. It reduce help remove redundant features in it. Improve visualization. High dimensional data is difficult to the visualize. That's why we can use method dimension reduction. And dimension reduction technique can be help in visualizing data in 2D, 3D, which can help better understanding of the analysis. Overfitting prevention. High dimensional data may be lead to overfitting in machine learning models, which can be lead to poor generalization performance. Dimension reduction can help in reducing the complexity of data and hence prevent overfitting. Feature extraction. Dimensional reduction can help in extracting important features from high dimensional data, which can help useful in feature selection and machine learning models. Data processing. Data processing means dimensional reduction can be used as preprocessing step. Before applying machine learning algorithms, we to reduce the dimensionality of the data and hence improve the performance of models. Improve performance. Dimensionality reduction can help in improving the performance of machine learning models by reducing the complexity of data and hence reducing the noisy and irrelevant information to the data. Disadvantages of dimension reduction. It may lead some amount of data loss. यहाँ पे हमारा डेटा भी लॉस हो सकता है. PCA tend to find linear correlation between variables which is sometimes undesirable. PCA fails in case where mean and covariance are not enough to define dataset. We may not know how many principal components keep the data in practice. Some thumb rules are applied. Interpretability means their reduced dimension may not be easily interpretable and it may be difficult to understand relationship between original features and reduced dimensions. Overfitting. In some cases, dimensionality reduction may lead to overfitting, especially when the number of components is chosen based on the training data. Sensitivity of outliers. Some dimensionality reduction techniques are sensitive to outlier, which can result in biased representation of data. Computation complexity. Some dimensional reduction techniques such as manifold learning can be computational insensitive, especially when dealing with the data. Dimension reduction is the process of reducing number of features in the dataset while retaining as much of the important information as possible. This can be done using reduce the complexity of model, improve the performance of learning algorithm, or make easy to visualize the data. Technique of dimensionality reduction include PCA, principal component analysis, single value decomposition, and LDA, linear dimension analysis. Each technique projects the data onto lower dimensional space while preserving important information. Dimensional reduction is performed during the pre-process stage. Before building a model to improve the performance, it is important to note that dimension reduction can also discard useful information. So much care must be taken when applying those techniques. आज के लिए बस इतना ही.